crowded roads, a crowded airport. The holiday travel crunch is alive and well.
Elected leaders say we all need to be cautious this year.
I just want Coloradans to make the best informed decision they have with the data they have.
But tonight, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock is under the microscope. Why did he fly out of Colorado just hours after saying this?
You know what? During this holiday, if you can, remain in your household.
And tonight, Denver7 is going 360 on a decision that sparked passionate discussion among our viewers. Many echoing this comment from Pamela. She writes, he should have followed his rules for us. I guess he doesn't have to practice what he preaches. And we've seen this in other states, and now we're seeing it in our own backyard. Fierce backlash to an elected leader seeming to ignore the rules.
In this case, it is Denver's mayor's decision to board a flight out of DIA to visit his daughter in Mississippi for Thanksgiving. Just 30 minutes after his official Twitter account sent this message: pass the potatoes, not COVID. Avoid travel if you can. So we begin our 360 look with the official perspective from the mayor, who actually just sent us a new statement within the hour. It says, I apologize to the residents of Denver who see my decision as conflicting with the guidance to stay at home for all but essential travel. I made my decision as a husband and father, he says, and for those who are angry and disappointed, I humbly ask you to forgive decisions that are born of my heart and not my head. Governor Polis, who warned people not to travel in a joint news conference with Mayor Hancock last Tuesday, was asked about Hancock's decision this afternoon.
I've not discussed personal Thanksgiving plans with the mayor or others. I was not aware of his plans. Look, I just want Coloradans to make the best informed decision they have with the data they have. We have 1 in 41 people are currently contagious with coronavirus.
The governor emphasized his own plans involve dinner with immediate family.
Denver City Council President Stacey Gilmore took a slightly different perspective from the governor. And while she called the flight a personal decision by the mayor, she pointed out travel is strongly discouraged by all the leading health experts. And the mayor of Colorado Springs, John Suthers, got a look at things from the perspective of a COVID ward today. And he tweeted out, seeing people, including young people, older people, and even previously healthy people struggle to breathe and on ventilators was sobering, to say the least.
And several Denver restaurant owners who have closed their dining rooms because of COVID restrictions were open about their disdain for the governor's decision. Brandon Spano, who owns a downtown bar, writes, now it's our own mayor. It's starting to look like these are not the rules for them, but just the rules for us.
And as some struggle to follow their own advice on holiday travel, our next perspective comes from a Longmont man who said his family averted a worst-case scenario by canceling their Thanksgiving plans.
Here's Denver7's Jessica Porter.
This is my first Thanksgiving without my family ever.
Every year, the DeLaw family comes together from around the country for a large Thanksgiving celebration.
Everyone brings their own dish. One of my cousins makes the mashed potatoes. My sister makes the green bean casserole. And the progressive arrival of people as they get home and hugging everyone.
They decided to still hold a small Thanksgiving this year of around a dozen people at Shaquille's parents' home in the Midwest. But as the days grew closer and COVID-19 cases broke records, he grew uneasy.
And every morning I would wake up and think to myself, what is the risk like that I'm going to get my parents sick, right? That's the biggest concern for me because my parents are in their early 70s.
The DeLaw family made the tough decision last week to cancel their plans. Then on Monday, Shaquille's father tested positive for COVID. The family narrowly avoided the kind of event health officials are warning about.
We would never have known until I had already been there for 3 days and my sister would have been there for a day. And
Shaquille shared his experience in a post on social media, hoping others would also take precautions.
Consider what you might regret if your family gets together and somebody gets COVID, and whether or not you get to see them next year.
His father has minor symptoms and will hopefully fully recover. Shaquille says these tough decisions will be worth it when they're all together next year.
I'm planning to make the full spread for myself and to do everything for myself. And I expect to spend a lot of time on Thanksgiving on Zoom and on FaceTime talking to my family.
And our next perspective comes from the airport. And this gives us some insight into how many people changed their plans just in the last week. Traffic is down 50% year over year. Airport officials told us they expected traffic to drop by 30 to 40%. So they think a lot of people just changed their plans at the last minute.
DIA says Sunday will be their busiest day of the Thanksgiving season. And one final perspective tonight, how safe is an airplane anyway? A 2018 study shows it is highly unlikely for a passenger with the flu to transmit it to someone more than a couple of seats away. Researchers say it's because of the way air is filtered in an airplane. Now, that's just the plane, doesn't account for all of the people you interact with in the airport or on the way to your flight. And if there's a perspective you think we missed, please just let us know. Email 360@thedenverchannel.com.
Well, fewer people are flying this year, but slightly more are driving. AAA reports nearly 1 million Coloradans plan to drive somewhere to celebrate the holiday, although that estimate is based on data from earlier this month. It doesn't account for any last-minute change of plans. Well, our state reported nearly 4,200 new cases of the virus today. We want to highlight a reason, though, to be optimistic. The last 4 days, we have seen lower case counts than what we saw at the end of last week. So that's good. At least the curve is bending in the right direction. The next graph we have for you shows the number of hospital beds in use tonight. That's trending in the wrong direction. Tonight, nearly 1,800 hospital beds are in use, including 81% of the state's ICU beds.
So clearly stress is growing on Colorado's hospital system. Tonight, one of every 7 Colorado hospitals says it could run out of ICU beds by next week. Half of our state's critical care ventilators are in use, and more than a third of all hospitals are expecting a staff shortage in the next week. And many are hiring traveling nurses. And nationally, Tuesday was the deadliest day in more than 6 months. More than 2,000 people passed away because of the virus. And lines at some testing sites are 8 hours long, with families hoping to test negative before they gather for the holiday. Hospitals in other states are paying a premium for the same travel nurses Colorado is hoping to recruit.
We're feeling, a high capacity of patients and the need for more nurses. We're feeling the brunt of it, I think, right now.
During a Thanksgiving address today, President-elect Joe Biden called on families to continue following these COVID restrictions.
It's been a really hard year, particularly hard for over 250,000 people and their families. But I still believe we have much to be thankful for.
Biden's team plowing forward with transition efforts. A spokesperson said today Biden expects to receive the first presidential daily briefing on Monday.
Michael Flynn is getting a pardon. President Trump announced his decision on Twitter just this afternoon. Flynn, who served as the president's first national security advisor, pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to the FBI, and then he later took it back. The case has been tied up in the courts until today's pardon. And the president did not make any public appearances today. He did call into a meeting at a hotel ballroom between his legal team and Republican lawmakers in Pennsylvania talking about the election. ABC News reports the president made unsubstantiated claims about election fraud on that call. It comes one day after Pennsylvania certified its election results for Joe Biden.
The political signs that dominated front yards for months are getting new life on one Colorado farm.
It's not a strong system, but there's a cold front coming. I'll let you know what it means for your Thanksgiving plans.
We're taking a closer look at the many ways COVID will impact your Thanksgiving plans.